Okay, welcome to our midweek exhale. My name is Marie, and I'm one half of the midweek exhale. And somewhere on your screen is Sharon, and she's the other half of the midweek exhale. And yeah, we run these sessions on a Wednesday, what is for us evening, but it's a pause in the middle of your week. It's just a time to rest, to allow your nervous system to just take a break, to just maybe come off the constant monitoring and watching and just take a break, and maybe to signal to your body that it's safe to take a break for a short time. As I said, we're going to be breathing for longer in this sessions, but we will still be finished at 8:30. Um, the shares may not be finished at 8:30, but we're willing to keep the room open. Neither of us is in any hurry. So, um, what else do I have to say? It is our one rule. Our one rule is be comfortable and do whatever you need to do for your own physical comfort. So maybe you might need to move, you might need to adjust, or and feel free to do that during the session. Also, if you want to bring voice, vocalize, and if you're in a place where you can do that, you're all muted, so feel free to do that as well. The one thing we would ask is that you don't stand up, because when we do breath work, even very gentle breath work, we can affect chemically change what's in our body, and that can lead to lightheadedness. And if you stand up quickly, you can fall. So please, if you do have to get up because you're at home, just take a few moments to bring your breathing back to its natural rhythm and to allow everything to settle before you get up and do whatever it is you're called to do. Um, we do say be comfortable, but it is also breath work. And even when it's gentle, sometimes breath work leads us to places that feel a little uncomfortable. And the invitation is that if you're led to those places in this session, and if it's the right time and if you feel safe enough to do it, that you just sit with the discomfort. You don't push through, you don't try and get through to the other side. You just sit with it as long as it feels right to sit with it. And then knowing that you can bring your breath back to its own natural rhythm, and that discomfort will subside. But you're in charge of this journey. So being very aware that at any point you can bring your breath back to its natural rhythm, and anything that you're feeling that you no longer want to feel will subside. Um, our sessions are gentle, but even though they're gentle, they can still bring up things that are quite sometimes that maybe blindside us. So just know that you're in charge. Anything we offer you in this session is an invitation. We're going to do 4 different breath styles. All our breath styles will begin with birdsong and will finish with silence. The invitation is to try the breath style. Sometimes we mention breath styles, and I'll tell you what we're doing in this session. We're doing breath awareness. Then we're going to do some deep breathing into our diaphragm. We're going to do an extended exhale breath, and we're going to do coherence. And you don't have to remember any of that because we will guide you through it. But just for anybody who wants to know. But also, maybe, as I said, one of those breaths, you're going, oh, I didn't like that. I did that before. And the invitation is to give it a try, because sometimes we do a breath pattern and we don't like it because it's just not the right one in that moment. So just giving it a try, regardless of sort of what your opinions of it are, always knowing that if it's not the breath pattern for you in this session, you just bring your breath back to its natural rhythm, or choose to do one of the other breath patterns we've done. I think maybe that's all I need to say. So get yourselves comfortable, and yeah, you can do this seated or lying down. If you're seated, make sure you're properly supported. And if you're lying down and you have a pillow, make sure it's not too high, because if it's too high, your breath can't flow freely. And maybe, well, I don't know what it's like for you, but it's freezing here. So maybe have a blanket at hand, because your temperature can change and it's handy to have just if you need. Okay, all that being said, I am going to start some bird song, and yeah, just just settling into the space that you're in. And maybe adjusting or noticing if there's any discomfort or tension or tightness, and maybe moving slightly to see, does it change? And maybe it won't, and that's okay too. Just notice that it's there. Sometimes when we just give it that little bit of attention, it can soften it. So just noticing that. And then just bringing some attention to what you're bringing to this session. We've all come from doing whatever it is that we had to do. And maybe your mind is still full of the thoughts and the concerns and worries maybe that you've brought with you. And just noticing that without the need to criticize or judge, without even the need to change. Just noticing. And then maybe taking a moment to ask yourself the question, how am I right now? And whatever answer comes up, maybe no answer will come, but whatever comes up, just allowing that to be. And then bringing your attention to your breath. And again, without feeling any need to change it or to judge it or to think what it should be like, just noticing what it is like. And allowing that to be okay. Maybe noticing your inhale. Where do you feel that inhale? Maybe it's where the breath enters the body. Or maybe it's in the movement in the body as you inhale. And then noticing your exhale. What does that feel like? And maybe your breath feels effortless, and maybe it doesn't. And again, just noticing that. And bringing some attention to where you can feel the breath move in the body. Maybe it's in your chest. Maybe it's in your belly. Or maybe it's in both. And then maybe seeing, can you find somewhere else that's moving as you breathe? Maybe you can feel the ribs at the side moving. Maybe you can feel your back moving against the surface that's supporting you. Seeing, can you notice any, even their very small movements? And maybe you're finding it difficult to keep your attention on your breath. And just noticing that too. And when you notice that your attention has drifted, just gently bringing it back. We have about 90 seconds left here, so maybe you can bring a little bit more focus to the breath, even just a tiny bit for the last 90 seconds. And soon the music's going to fade and we're going to go into our first time of silence. So just rest.
And as the birdsong brings that first silence to a close, just noticing how that felt. Perhaps that's the first time today that you've spent time in silence. Perhaps not, maybe you're in silence often. Either way, just notice how it felt to simply rest. And in this next segment, I'm going to invite you to diaphragmatic breathing. And what we're doing when we breathe and consciously bring our awareness to our diaphragm is we're bringing our attention to the vagus nerve that runs from our brainstem right the way down to our spine and then through our diaphragm and into our digestive system and beyond, the wandering nerve. And it is this that calms our nervous system, that tells our nervous system that everything is okay. And as well as massaging the vagus nerve with our diaphragm, we can also just use our fingers behind our ears and just massage that point there. And I'm going to invite you to do that later on in the breathe. You might do that little bit behind your ear. You might just gently pull on your earlobe, just in that area there, in front of and behind the ear. But first, let's concentrate on our breathing. So on your next inhale, I'd like you to imagine the breath as you inhale, filling up the top of your lungs, the middle of your lungs, and then feeling the bottom of your ribs expand, and maybe you might even feel the breath expand into your back, and then just let it fall away. So as you inhale, top, middle, right down into the bottom, feeling the ribs open and expand before just gently letting the breath out. And let your inhale enter your body through your nose if you have that capacity. You can let the exhale out through the nose or gently through the mouth, but no pushing on that exhale. Remember extending that inhale until you're right down to the bottom of your lungs, and your rib cage is fully expanded, and then gently letting it go. And there's no need to rush. You can just take your time with your inhale, really filling your lungs. And you may be able to even feel your diaphragm just opening up and dropping into your abdominal cavity, your tummy rising, and then a gentle exhale. There's no need to rush the breath. Let your body set the rhythm. And keep bringing your focus back to the inhale, filling the top of your lungs, the middle of your lungs, all the way down to the bottom, watching your rib cage open and your back even fill with air before you gently exhale. And in our final 3 minutes, continue that diaphragm breathing, but also begin now to massage around the ear area, the backs, just behind your ear, just in front of your ear. Stimulating that vagal tone. And continue with that for as long as it feels good. We're into our last minute now. If your attention has drifted whilst you massage the top of the vagus nerve there, just bring it back to your breath. With 1 or 2 more deep inhales and gentle exhales. And on your next exhale, letting your breath return to its natural rhythm as we move into the next segment of silence.
And as the bird song begins again, just taking a few moments to notice how that silence felt. Maybe it felt longer than the last silence. Maybe it felt shorter. Just noticing. And in our next segment, I'm going to invite you to an extended exhale. So I'm going to invite you to breathe in gently through your nose, if that's possible. And then breathe out long and slow. And you can breathe out through your nose as well. Or you can breathe out through pursed lips, like you're blowing through a straw. And if it helps you to count, feel free to count. Maybe inhaling for 4 and exhaling for 6, or whatever count suits you at this moment. Just keeping that exhale longer than the inhale. And when we make our exhale longer than our inhale, we're telling our body that it's safe. In this moment, we're safe. We're safe to rest. And we're safe for all the things that happen in the body when we're resting to begin. Breathing in gently through your nose. And then exhaling through your nose or through pursed lips. And keeping the exhale long and slow, but not forcing it. Not pushing beyond what feels right. And another thing that tells our body it's safe is when we sigh. So maybe after your next inhale, maybe just sigh through an open mouth. And you can keep that exhale, that sigh whispered, or you can give the sigh voice. We do 2 more sighs here before we go back to our extended exhale. Then moving gently back to that extended exhale. Still inhaling softly through the nose. Maybe exhaling through pursed lips. Keeping the inhale gentle and the exhale long and slow, but not pushing it. Allowing that exhale to let your body know that it's safe to rest. And maybe you feel like putting another couple of sighs into that long exhale. And if you do, then inhaling gently and sighing out through your open mouth. And then moving back to that soft, gentle, extended exhale. Knowing that you can put a sigh in on any of your exhales. We're almost in our last minute, and maybe for the last few breaths, really focusing on slowing that exhale down. Maybe as we approach the silence, maybe you want one last sigh to take you into the silence. Just allowing your body to rest.
As we welcome the birdsong back again, just noticing how that silence felt. Was it any more or less restful? Did you relax into it a little more or a little less? And just noticing what you notice in your mind, in your body, in your feelings. As we come to our final breath for this session, and in our final breath, we're going to invite balance into our system. We're going to match a gentle inhale through the nose with a gentle exhale through the nose. And we're going to do a couple together to the count of 4, but you can choose whatever count feels good for you. Maybe make it slower and breathe with 5, or faster and breathe with 3. And all of that is part of your choice in this breath. So on your next exhale, just let your breath rest in a gentle hold. And inhale, 2, 3, 4. Exhale, 2, 3, 4. Inhale, 2, 3, 4. And exhale, 2, 3, 4. Inhale, and exhale. And find your rhythm now, either counting in your mind, using your fingers, just tapping your fingers against your thumb, or letting the wisdom of your body find its rhythm. And if you drift off or lose count and forget where you're at, don't worry, just take a breath, pause at the bottom, and then start again. Inhaling gentle, balanced rhythm. And just check in now with that rhythm of the breath and just see if that's still a good rhythm for you. Maybe you've got a little more capacity to slow the breath down a little. Don't push, don't force, just notice. Notice what your body's asking for. And then see how it feels to respond. And notice whether you're leaving any pauses between the inhale and the exhale. And you don't have to do anything and change it, just notice. Notice whether the pause is longer at the top of your breath than it is at the bottom after the exhale. Or notice whether your inhale is naturally running into your exhale and your exhale naturally becomes your inhale. There isn't a right or a wrong for this, it's just an invitation to be aware and to notice. And we're in our last 20 seconds now, so just let your breath return to its natural rhythm on your next exhale. And prepare yourself for the last 2 minutes of silence in this breathwork.
And as the birdsong begins for the last time in this session, and before we begin the journey back, just taking a few moments to notice how you are now. Maybe that's different to when we began, and maybe it's exactly the same. And either's perfect. And now beginning to bring some awareness back to your body on the surface that you're sitting or lying on. And feeling those points of contact. Maybe introducing some gentle movement, stretch or a yawn. Maybe just moving your fingers, wrists, your ankles and toes, but just gently. And if your eyes are still closed, slowly opening them and looking round the familiar place where you are. Bringing yourself back into that physical space. Maybe also remembering that you're in a Zoom room. And gently beginning to think about coming back to join us in the Zoom room.
And whilst you're making your way back into the Zoom room, and before we put off the recording, just to bring your attention to the notices that we've posted. So first of all, you can receive this recording in the Exhale Library, our free community. And it'll be there with no ads. Of course, it also is uploaded onto YouTube. And so you can find it there too in its little short bursts and the longer breath work. And bearing in mind that this one was a little bit longer, if you enjoyed it, you might like to join us on Friday for our 2-hour breath work, where we explore seasonal astrology. So we'll be breathing on Friday with Aries, that right to the first breath. And the warrior energy. So lots to explore in that one. Our other longer breath work is like a mini retreat, and that is on the second Sunday of each month. And we will, in those, we breathe with the Celtic tree calendar. So we'll be breathing with the willow tree on in early April. And the big news is that our Yorkshire retreat is now live. We will be meeting in real life on the 5th to the 7th of June in York, in North Yorkshire. The tickets are on sale, and the ticket link is there in the chat. And our Donegal retreats, we are almost there. We'll be announcing the dates, the exact dates for that, possibly next week, maybe into the week after, but it'll be sometime in September, early October. And there is a ticket there where you can express your interest and get notification of the date as soon as they are live. And finally, as ever, our directory listing, our public directory listing is there. If you've enjoyed this breathwork and you'd like to leave us a review, we would love to hear from you. And also, if you're not in the community and you want to get hold of us, that's the best way to get hold of us too. So all of that said, I'm going to open the room now for Hearth and Voices. If you are listening to the recording and you have anything you want to share, then wherever you are listening to it, there is somewhere that you can share your experience of it, and we'd love to hold you in that. And to take care of yourself. This may have been gentle, but it's still a powerful breathwork practice. So drink plenty of water, eat nourishing foods, spend time listening to birds, and allow yourself to integrate gently.